Welcome to your worst nightmare. There is no escape. There is nowhere to hide. You are in my control now. Welcome to hell, motherfuckers.
Welcome to hell, everybody. It's your boy Walterdoom back for another episode of Let's Talk About Horror, the horror podcast where I talk about anything and everything related to the genre. And I am back. I have been gone for a while, but I am not short of talking about some things. I like to recap a little bit on last episode where, if you guys have not listened to it yet, we had the World of Doom, me and Megan's World, talking about the movie Bad Hair. So yeah, definitely check that episode out. It's definitely worth listening to. We talk about the representation of hair in the black community and just how it literally affects like just the community itself, and how like supporting your natural hair or your natural curls and kinks and whatever is a lot more better than just giving praise to that prosthetic weaves and European hairstyle that everybody going crazy about. Not to say that that's bad, but let's all appreciate all hair. All hair matters. But anyway, if you guys are not following me on social media, them social medias are Walterdoom on Instagram, Walterdoom1 on Twitter, and Walterdoom on everything else that involves streaming platforms. And today we have a very exciting episode for those that really like to watch those Blumhouse films in the Into the Dark series. I am going to give my ranking for the Into the Dark series season finale of Blood Moon. So definitely go ahead and check that out. So yeah, go ahead, get your popcorn, get your drink, do whatever you need to do, and we will take a quick break. So like I usually say, what you don't say in a horror movie, I'll be right back. Hulu's Into the Dark series ended its second season with the spring full moon horror Blood Moon. Blood Moon focuses on main character Esme, played by Magdalene Echiwuoke. I'm sorry, I am going to butcher names, by the way. So bear with me, people. As she tries to protect her sons, Luna, played by Jonas Kibrev, secret where every full moon he turns into a bloodthirsty werewolf. The driving narrative of this film is the difficulties of parenthood. In the film, Esme and Luna settle in another small town under a new identity. This is caused by Luna, who murders anyone and anything whenever he is in wolf form. Esme takes a job at a local bar where she is constantly, quote unquote, sexually harassed in the first 30 minutes of the film. All right, I want to take a minute to talk about just a little bit about this movie and about like the situation I'm setting up here. So in this movie, we're following these two characters. They're moving from town to town because the son obviously is a werewolf, stated before. But how he became a werewolf is because Esme had a relationship with a guy who also was from another small town. He is a werewolf also. He didn't really let Esme know. So, and it makes me kind of wonder too, because obviously they were together for a while. He got her pregnant, but it seemed like the way the movie was narrating this film it seemed like they were living together. But later on in the film, when she actually becomes pregnant, he tells her that he's a werewolf, that he has a secret. Now, maybe what happened is that when she was stranded in a small town, she was with this guy for like, who knows? We'll say like a month. I was going to say 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe 2 or 3 weeks to a month. They got together, they hooked up, and he got her pregnant. She didn't know that he turns into a werewolf like in a certain amount of time. he let her know, yeah, now they have a kid that is possibly, well, that's possibly a werewolf. Well, it wasn't a possibly, he is a werewolf. Just to set that up to kind of like understand what's going on in the story. Another thing, in this film, as you guys know, a lot of Blumhouse's films for this series tends to focus a lot on toxic masculinity. And this movie is no stranger to it. And I'm going to touch bases on that a little bit later on. But in the first 30 minutes of this film, we're pretty much bombarded with like questionable sexual harassment by a lot of like men in this film, which in a way is kind of weird because of the setting of this film, which I will touch base on a little bit later on. So this harassment develops into an adversarial relationship between Esme and the local sheriff. But harassment is not the main plot of this film, like I stated earlier. The audience is seduced into sympathizing with Esme's difficulty with parenthood, where she is learning how to balance Luna's secret and letting him live life like a normal kid. What I like about this film is the story of how Esme is trying to protect her son. This story is comparable to Season 1's 2019 Mother's Day horror, All That We Destroyed. In the aforementioned sci-fi horror film, Victoria, who is played by Samantha Mathis, is a geneticist who develops a machine that regenerates human life. An experiment in which later the subject, Ashley, who is played by Aurora Perrineau, unintentionally starts regaining her old memories. This process was used to help the main story's son, Spencer, who's played by Israel Broussard, cure his insatiable desire for murdering his victims. Unfortunately for Victoria, by the end of the film, Spencer is murdered by Ashley in self-defense. Then his body is regenerated in a desperate effort to hit restart on raising her son. Blood Moon has a similar premise to All That We Destroyed, where Esme's protective, unconditional love for her son, Luna, is parallel to Victoria's love for Spencer. Like a diligent mother, Esme marks down each full moon day and takes the day off from work to make sure she has some level of control of the situation. Before Luna becomes a wolf, Esme tries to hunt down livestock like cows for Luna to eat when he transforms. This movie plays the full moon days well because it establishes a rule that can't be broken, but eventually is when Luna decides to sneak off to a birthday party while Esme is at work. The consequence of this rule is Luna is transforming miles away from home, then runs away to rampage a farm. Now, let me kind of touch base a little bit on this. So, I had to look up like full moon days, like how many times a full moon happens within a month. Because as we go along this story, we're going through like several months where Luna is pretty much turning into this wolf, as well as Esme trying to maintain a secret. Now, she kind of does this with the house that she's living in because it plays off very well because she ends up building like this barricade, which kind of keeps Luna trapped in there. So whenever he turns into a werewolf, he pretty much is stuck in there. You know, he can't really break out of it. So, I mean, I'm pretty sure it was a lot of trial and error where she was trying to figure out how to keep this kid trapped. Another thing that was interesting about this little segment is that there is a constant battle between Luna and Esme as far as like what Luna really wants to do. Now, Luna, he wants to live like a normal kid, just like any other kid, honestly. For like the aforementioned movie that I used before, All That We Destroyed, Spencer, who is like the main protagonist, no, not protagonist, but the main antagonist in the film, he wants to live a normal life to where like he could go to school, where he could date girls, have friends. But the only problem is that Spencer has a problem with killing. And with Victoria, she doesn't know how to trust him. And I use All That We Destroyed as an example because I feel like it's probably the best example to kind of compare. Maybe not a very popular example for people to see, but if you guys have been keeping up with the Into the Dark series, I mean, you guys probably know this film already. But for you guys that don't know it, definitely check it out. It's definitely worth watching. Probably one of my top, well, I mean, it's only 12 films. I'm not sure if it's top 5. There's like 5 films I would say like that are worth watching, and I don't remember on the top of my head where All That We Destroyed landed on my list as far as like 1 through 12, but it's definitely worth watching. Now, circling back a little bit to when I was talking about the full moon days. Now, here's the thing. I had to look it up. I had to Google that shit. That's what Google is made for, you know? So before I even jumped on this podcast and started talking my head off, I had to look up and see how many days does it take for a full moon to come in. And what I found out, it takes approximately, I don't know why I can't talk today, by the way. It takes approximately 29.53 days for there to be another full moon within a month of each other. So she's marking down these full moon days on the calendar. Now, here's the thing, because I know she kind of like goes into like a certain day where she's like, well, I need to take the 21st, I believe, off, if I can remember the movie. She usually says like she needs to take that day off because that's usually the day Luna usually transforms. Now, for me, I'm thinking like, well, if there's a full moon every month, wouldn't the days change? Wouldn't the full moon days change a little bit, slightly? It wouldn't be relatively the same day. Because keep in mind, we're dealing with like different months. So we're dealing with like, you know, say like between January to March. You know, February only has 28 days, sometimes 29, depending on if it's a leap year or not. So that would kind of push the 29 days over a little bit. What I noticed from the film, because they were going into like different months, I noticed that they did kind of like change the full moon day, because it did not lie on the same 21st day like you would think it would, because she asked for that day off. But it was actually landing on a different day. So as much as I was thinking like, okay, well, this doesn't make sense, because wouldn't the days change eventually? Wouldn't it not be on the 21st? Maybe it'll be on like the 20th. Maybe it'll be on the 25th, depending on how much push that is going on with the full moon. I don't know. I just thought like it was very interesting that they used this kind of day to kind of like make it a bit interesting. Like, yo, on this day, we got to make sure you're locked up and you're not anywhere outside running amok, and I got to make sure that I'm inside the house, making sure that I can control this situation. And just in case if you lose your mind, you know, I got to put you down. And the movie does touch base on it, because literally, like, it's literally a heartfelt, and I'm using literally, if you guys know me, I like to use that word way too much. Especially if you listen to me for a while, you guys know I use that word way too much. But it's a heartfelt movie, you know? I mean, it's like, as much as you're sitting there like, damn, I want Luna to like live a life as a normal kid, at the same time, you're understanding Esme's role in this, where she's like, yo, I got to keep this kid safe. I don't know if I could trust this kid to go out on his own and be safe and come back home. I'm worried like if he gets too out of control, maybe someone will probably kill him. We all got to think about that time, and we've all had parents, you know. Some good, some bad, some have more traumatizing experience than others. I mean, we all don't grow up the same way. I mean, we all come from different households. But one thing we all do have in common is you remember that first time when you tried to convince your parent about how you wanted to do something and you needed their blessing. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have dealt with like something similar to this, whether it's like learning how to drive, whether it's dating somebody. Sometimes, parents aren't too fond about like when their child dates or starts dating. I mean, I know for me personally, I mean, not that it's happened to me, but I know others where parents weren't okay with like their child dating. It's happened to friends, it's happened to like within my own day job and what have you. When it comes to dating, and that could be kind of like a slippery slope depending on the age. I mean, it's like, for me personally, if I have a kid, because I don't have any kids right now, would I want my 10-year-old dating somebody? No. Boy or girl? No. They can develop a crush, which is normal. I mean, developing crushes is normal. I mean, I developed a crush on girls when I was like, I want to say 6 years old, because I remember being in kindergarten and there was this girl that was in my kindergarten class. I can't remember her name, but I remember what she looked like, because when I was a kid, I of course you had a crush on her, But anyway, story is that this is kindergarten Walterdoom, by the way. Kindergartner. So I was Little Doom. Little Doom in kindergarten. Developing a crush. Didn't know what to do with this crush. So all I did was just like pretty much like looked at the girl all day, and just like simped my way. and I'm telling you right now, like when you're young, like you don't know what you're doing. Like it's just all simping and all that. I remember what I liked about the girl. She was a dark-skinned girl with like little braids in her hair, like little big braids. You know how like parents, they kind of braid your hair, and sometimes it's not like a good braid or anything like that. It was just literally like one of those simple braids that they put in the hair for the day with the little barrettes and shit like that. But yeah, 6-year-old me is just sitting there like, oh my God, I like that little ratchet shit, without even knowing what that ratchet shit is, But yeah, just saying, like, dating, definitely a slippery slope. If I have a kid, what age will be appropriate for a kid to date? I mean, I would say like high school, really, because you gotta like have that trust, honestly. You gotta have that trust for your kid. You gotta start like developing that instinct as a parent, like, yo, so we're gonna let you get this opportunity, date this person, we're gonna trust you. And it's all about also building that trust. The main point about the having your kid date is literally just saying, build that trust, build that communication. And just like in the movie with Esme and Luna, that's what I felt like this was all about. When Luna wants to go to school or play with the other kids, and Esme is saying no, 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 Luna is kind of like almost resenting his mom, and it's building that whole psychological factor where he's just like, well, you won't trust me to do anything. And this is where we come to the point of he actually sneaks out, which I was mentioning earlier. He sneaks out to go to this party because when the townspeople, his name is Miguel, he owns like a shop, he becomes friends with Esme. He's like the only character in this movie that doesn't sexualize or seem like he's trying to fuck the mom and all that. But he's actually trying to help her and help the son too, because he knows what it was like to be raised in a single parent household. So Luna ends up sneaking out when Esme ends up having to work a shift on a day where Luna is going to transform. And this is what got me going a little bit in this movie, because he sneaks out, and as he's at this party, he's literally kind of transforming, and you're sitting there looking at this dude like, oh, is he about to fuck this whole party up? Like, I'm sitting there waiting. I'm waiting for some straight up American Werewolf in London or Paris type shit. Like, is this dude about to fuck up everybody like ginger snaps or anything like that. Like, yo, this is about to get insane. You know what I'm saying? But he ends up not doing that because Esme comes in just in time because she knew he was gonna go to that party. Now here's my thing. When I was looking at this film, and this is probably like one knock that I have against it, is when Esme picks him up, she's driving him back home, but he transforms while in the car. Now I'm wondering, like, how far is this fucking house? You know? Because it was daytime when she got him. It wasn't getting close to nighttime. It was getting close. It was still daytime. It was like sun's out, everything, bright and early. So I would say like, it was like the afternoon when she got him, like maybe like 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. When they're driving back home and she's trying to get him back to the house, literally the sun is going down and it's getting close to nighttime. And it's like literally looking like it's about like 4, 5 o'clock. And I'm assuming this is like in, I want to say like in the fall. But you know what? I'm gonna have to take back what I said because there was a calendar that was shown before this scene. No, actually, no. I'm sorry. I take that back. There wasn't a calendar that was shown. So going back, so it was like maybe like around, I want to say March. So, or if it was in March, it was like April, and you know, April is daylight savings time. So even then, it's like maybe 7, 8 o'clock, I want to say. Even around that time, you know, it's getting dark late. But anyway, point being is, how long does it fucking take them to get to this house? You know, like if it takes them this long to get to the house, how the fuck did this kid get to the party? And how long did it take him to get there by himself? Because this kid is probably like no older than like 10, honestly. 10 or 11, maybe 11. You know, he's no older than 11. He has to be like between the ages of 8 to 11, honestly. Just going by like his height and what have you. But I'm just wondering, like, how the fuck did this kid get to this party with no issues? It's like kind of like Child's Play. If you guys ever watched Child's Play before, I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys have. I'm not gonna act like you guys haven't watched it before. But if you guys watch Child's Play, remember that scene with Andy and how he kind of like left school with Chucky and he went to go see, I forget that dude's name, but it was the first guy that Chucky killed because the dude kind of like dimed him out and kind of went hiding for his own reason. And actually, he didn't even dime Chucky out. Actually, he left Chucky at the fucking toy store. That's what happened. So Andy and Chucky, they're taking like the train, they're taking the bus. And keep in mind, Andy is like probably like 7, you know? So it's this little kid in the rough streets of Chicago taking the train, the bus, public transportation to this area that's like super sketchy, by the way. That's probably filled with like homeless people and crack needles everywhere. So it's like, how the fuck did everybody just see this kid walking around with this doll, talking to this doll and making jokes with it and doing nothing about it? That's fucking weird to me, by the way. I don't know how the fuck they got away with this shit, but either way, that was some weird ass shit. But that's how that moment in Blood Moon felt. It felt like Andy when he was like in the fucking train and everybody just let this kid do whatever he want because movie got a movie, and it was just nothing done. And he goes there to this little fucked up house and whatever, puts Chucky down. Chucky does his thing. This kid takes a leak and whatever, and all he does is look for Chucky. And it was also weird because the guy who was very trigger finger happy, you know, he didn't shoot the little small human, thank God, because that would have been awful to see on film. he ends up stop shooting around when he sees Andy and is just letting his guard down until he gets killed by Chucky from, like, I guess a gas that he left open on the stove and what have you. Weird way to die, but still one of those kills that you remember if you've seen this movie so many times, which I have. But anyway, one of the negatives of the film, which is the same problem with most Into the Dark films, is the element of toxic masculinity. Although there were some good films that delved into this topic, like Treehouse, Down, All That We Destroyed, the subject becomes exhausting when it's frequently and clunkily used. Blood Moon is not exempt from the latter, as it uses Esme as the romantic / sexual focal point in a town where women seem non-existent. Where were the fucking women? I gotta say, this was so weird to me. If you guys watch this movie, pay attention to the background settings. Where the fuck is the women? It's like the studio literally just purposely paid to have only men in this film. It's like, where were the women at? So it's like, it's almost like if you guys seen Train to Busan Peninsula, I had that same thought when I was looking at that film. And I was like, yo, where are the women at? Why is there so many dudes in this shit? Like, but it made sense almost. Like, in the movie Peninsula, it seems like all the women probably either got killed, they left, they got turned into a zombie, and now it's like, you know, all the men, they're just with each other, you know? And depending on how much you're succumbing to the environment, you know, maybe you're looking at that one dude that you used to go hunting with and just be like, well, you know what? Brad is looking kind of good right now. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like, I really do wonder, like, how did they get their sexual rocks off? Because they're stranded in this fucking peninsula for like 4 years. Now, I'm pretty sure there was some zombie banging. I'm sure there was some zombie banging. And I'm pretty sure that's like half of how, like, some people turn into a zombie. I'm pretty sure somebody was like, hey, look at that female zombie over there. You know, she's looking really good right now. You know, I wouldn't mind that. And all you see is this female zombie just with like blood just curdling out of her mouth and just like her bad teeth and bad odors and everything, and you just see this normal guy. Like, you're the normal guy. Imagine yourself as the normal guy, quote unquote, I should say, because there's no such thing as normal. But just imagine yourself as like just a normal guy running around the peninsula. You're sitting there hunting down zombies. All of a sudden, you see like this zombie, big titties, fat ass, and you're just sitting there like, you know what? I wouldn't mind banging that zombie right now. I'm just saying, like, some guys need to be met, and probably there were some women too who probably fucked up and was like, you know what? I will do Mandingo right now. Oh my god! But yeah, I'm telling you right now, there was plenty of zombie banging, and it's probably like why not 2/3, but probably like 1/3 of the population got turned into zombies. Honestly, I'm just saying. Let's not rule that out. But yeah, but like I was saying, in Peninsula, besides the zombie banging, if these guys weren't banging zombies, they were banging each other. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, honestly. You know, if that is your preference, if that is your sexuality, by all means, go ahead and do that, you know? If you a guy, you like that penis, hey, go get that penis, dog. Go get it, you know? Do your thing. You know, if you're a woman, you know, that likes vagina, go ahead and get that vagina, girl. Go get that cat. Make her squirt, you know? All right, maybe I should put a a parental warning. Hey, producer Doom, is it okay for me to say squirt? Yeah, producer Doom is giving me like the nod of like, dude, don't mention squirting anymore on this shit. But coming back to Blood Moon, yeah, there was just way too much men in this town. That was just too eerie of like the Michael Jackson make the way you make me feel video. If you guys ever watched that video before, I don't know if I'm gonna put it up or not, but this is something me and Megan's World talked about on World of Doom. It's kind of an outtake, actually. I might do outtakes for World of Doom one day. But it's so creepy if you think about it. It's like this girl is literally in a dark alley with Michael Jackson and a bunch of other niggas surrounding her. And it's like this dude is chasing her around there, talking about the way you make me feel. He's just gyrating his crotch in front of her and just telling her about how much she turns him on. And she's just like walking and running and laughing and playing. It's almost eerie in a way, but it's like, yo, in real life, that got to be the scariest shit for any woman, yo. Like, and it's not to make a joke out of it. It's not really funny at all, but that has got to be the eeriest shit ever, honestly, especially when it's being displayed into a music video. But anyway, this was very eerie to see. And, you know, Esme, she's using like all her powers to be of distance to kind of like keep away from these guys. You know, she gets in contact with the owner, Sam, who just all of a sudden, for no reason or the other, just hits on her, talking about like, well, if you're looking for a husband. And it's like, nigga, you just met her in like 2 seconds. What are you talking about? You know, like, you're already talking about marrying this chick. You don't even know what her life is like. Then you got the sheriff, you know, he's talking about like, hey, baby, I want to go 12 rounds with you. Bing, bing. You know, he didn't make the bing, bing noise. That's just me putting add-ons. But, yeah, it was kind of weird to see this. And I just kept thinking to myself, like, why is this in the film? Like, what is this supposed to build on? And to me, I just wonder, like, why are they trying to build to attention? Like, this is my first time watching this, by the way, that I'm thinking about this. All of this, actually. I'm thinking, like, okay, are they building to another narrative about toxic masculinity? But what they're trying to do is put toxic masculinity to kind of build some type of narrative in a story to where, like, it builds tension between Esme and the sheriff. Which, I mean, to be honest, I felt like they could have did it a different way. They didn't have to make it to where, like, the sheriff was sexually harassing her. I mean, they could have did something like, hey, she doesn't like the police. I mean, we're in a climate where, like, police are definitely being scrutinized for their behaviors and their actions, especially against minorities like black people and Hispanics. And, you know, they could have kind of like took that narrative and put it in that film instead of just sitting there like this whole, hey, baby, I want to fuck you all night till the sun comes up. And she's sitting there like, well, I want to slit your throat and all that. You know, it just literally loses me a little bit, where I'm just like, did we really need this in the story? Because I feel like the Into the Dark series spends so much time focusing on toxic masculinity. It's almost unnecessary in a way. So I just feel like they could have took that whole story dialogue between those two in a different direction instead of going with what they went with. I mean, because now it just seemed like throughout the whole story, he's just mad because she turned him down. And he's just like, well, you know what, bitch? I'm going to get back at you. Like, it's literally coming off as that. You're only getting mad at her because she turned you down. But you literally was just like, yeah, baby, I'll fuck the shit out of that little pussy of yours. And she just was like, no, I'm going to cut your dick off if you try and touch this. And you're just like, what? Bitch, I'll arrest you for anything. I'll arrest you for littering. Like what the fuck are we doing? Come on, bro. But anyway, whether it's used to build tension between Esme and the men of the town, I felt the Blumhouse installment's feet are stuck in the mud with this topic. In addition, what are we, the audience, supposed to sympathize with or fear? Are we supposed to fear a possible yet non-existent sexual assault because Esme is the only woman in this predominantly male town? Or are we supposed to fear the town possibly murdering our kid like he's Frankenstein's monster? In the end, Blood Moon is a heartfelt horror movie about making the hard decisions of parenthood. This film is relevant for those parents that face challenges every day with their child, whether it's them wanting to date some kid from their school, going to the right college that will support their career goals, or learning how to drive on their own. Even though not in the extreme of this film, you can sympathize with Esme's struggle with Luna. Although I did enjoy this film finishes ninth for me on the ranking scale with a score of 2.5. All right, so it pretty much in closing, like, even though this film is good, as I like the messaging, honestly, but as far as like a story itself, it does get kind of like, well, why did that happen? that shit doesn't make sense to me. I guess I'm gonna kind of take a break right now. Awkward way to take a break, you know that. But once again, like you shouldn't say in a scary movie, I'll be right back. And we are back, and now welcome back to the Slasher Corner. And as you guys know, I'm usually like suggesting you guys a movie that's a slasher film. And for this Slasher Corner film is The Jersey Shore Massacre on Tubi. So if you guys ever watched The Jersey Shore or have been annoyed by it before, this is definitely a movie that you want to get your drink on, get your smoke on, and just sit there and laugh at these people as they get hacked off. Not to mention, like, if you're somebody that's into just the tropes of a usual slasher film, i.e. tits and violence, this is the movie for you, because this is definitely a movie for me. I'm just saying, like, when it comes to nights where, like, I don't want to sit there and analyze a movie, I want to watch a film that has so much tits and so much violence. You know, it balances out my night. I'm just saying, I mean, I can't be the only one that's just like, yeah, you know, I want to watch the movie because of some intellectual thinking. No, dude, fuck that. I'm trying to see this girl's tits, and I'm trying to see her get hacked off from having some big ass tits. But I gotta see the tits first, you know. Research purposes, you know. But anyway, I feel like some people are just gonna be like, dude, this dude talks about tits too much. Nah, this is not cool. But I'm just saying, like, if you're a weirdo like me, have been annoyed by the Jersey Shore, which these characters, they play out like people from the Jersey Shore. Not to mention that this movie itself is executively produced by Jay Wow. So, you know, Jay Wow has all the intel of how these motherfuckers act, you know. I'm glad, me personally, that the Jersey Shore is not a thing anymore for you Zoomers out there. I mean, this is something that I'm glad you guys didn't really get to experience, because there's some things about millennial culture that we just wish that was just like, you know, stacked into, like, it was buried. I wish it was somewhere buried. Like, you know, like, we just literally kidnapped all the cast members from the Jersey Shore. Okay, let me stop there. Because this sounds like it's about to get real gruesome and violent, but I really don't mean any of it, honestly. Yeah, I can't believe we were just exposed to this. And I'm pretty sure there's some people out there that really love the Jersey Shore. If you love the Jersey Shore, by all means, love the Jersey Shore. I mean, if you want to say how much you love it, definitely, if you're listening to this on YouTube, definitely comment your love for the Jersey Shore, because I am interested in hearing like what you like about it. But then again, I mean, there's a lot of people that like Keeping Up with the Kardashians, which I can't believe is still on. Can we get a horror movie that kind of talks about keeping up with the Kardashians, and turn Scott Disick or Kanye West into a serial killer? I'm just saying. I, for one, am tired of keeping up with the Kardashians. I don't know how many of you guys out there are keeping up with them, but yeah, there is no point, honestly. But can we get a horror movie where just like all of them get killed, Like, can we get Kim get run over by his car? Can we get Chloe getting her fake plastic surgery go wrong? Can we get like Kourtney Kardashian, I don't know, have her head explode like in the movie Scanners? I don't know. Can we get something like that? Can someone make that happen? Can we have like Kylie Jenner's boobs just explode, or just like they turn into fucking gremlins and shit, and they start popping out of her breasts and they eat her head off or something like that? I'm just saying, like, I am not the biggest fan of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I gotta admit, I did like looking at them for a while until I found out all I'm looking at is plastic Barbie dolls and what have you. Um, yeah, can we do something about that? Or can we have Rob Kardashian? Actually, that would be the best horror film ever, with keeping up the Kardashians. But it don't even have to be called Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It could be called some other bullshit. I don't know. Keeping Up with the Roberts, or Keeping Up with the Jacksons. I don't know. Whatever. And they're like parodies of like the Kardashian family, Like same thing, like, daughter gets famous off of a porn tape, There's a frumpy Kardashian sister who gets plastic surgery. Now she's the bomb looking one and is all about body positivity, even though everything she did was just plastic surgery, allegedly. Let's not get sued. But yeah, and I gotta admit, like, out of all the Kardashian sisters, when I was younger, I used to have the biggest crush on Kourtney Kardashian. I don't know, for some reason, she seemed like the most normal one, in my opinion, at the time, before I just found out how much of a weirdo she really was, you know? Like, I felt like she was like more like, I'm not trying to be in the limelight. I'm trying to do this mother thing. I'm trying to raise my kid, and I got a husband with a porn star name. I'm just saying that if I was to be in porn right now, that would be my name, Scott Disick. you know, I'll be like, hey, you want to play with the Disick? Okay, that's lame. That wasn't funny at all. But yeah, can we get like a movie where like it's a parody? You have all the Kardashian sisters, including Caitlyn, and we just like have like this whole story where like the son, Rob Kardashian, but he's not gonna be called Rob. It's gonna be a different name. Like we'll change it to like Jeff. I don't know why. But Jeff seems like a name where like, he would get bullied for. But yeah, Jeff is the one Kardashian brother who is kind of like the outsider, and he's kind of frumpy, whatever. And actually this is pre liposuction Rob Kardashian, so we're gonna have like Jeff be overweight Rob, and this is like dealing with the Black China situation, you know what I'm saying? So, and I'm sorry you guys, I'm getting into this right now. So Jeff is like, yo, man, all my sisters make fun of me, my two moms are like not really caring for me like that. And my wife is like, my wife is only using me for clout. So here's what happens. He snaps. But the thing is, we don't know that he's the one snapping, you know? We learn in the end he's the one that kills everyone, you know? Like, you know, he kind of kills the matriarch, not Caitlyn, but fuck, what's her name again? Chris. He kills Chris with a fucking chainsaw. You know, he goes total Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Or actually, no, he kills them with their vices. So, how would Kris Jenner die? Because we really don't. I feel like we don't know enough, or at least I don't know enough about her. I don't know. Somebody help me out with that later on. But either way, so you kill Kim, which is not Kim. We killed the parody of Kim, I should say. You kill the parody of Kim Kardashian with like some type of ass injections and whatever, allegedly. But yeah, where it has like some type of poisoning that just makes her ass explode. And when you see her ass explode, you see like all the guts and shit that come out. You know, she just falls out and whatever. Like I said, you kill Chloe, the parody of Chloe, and she's like, yo, she dies from like some type of like plastic surgery or like liposuction. That sucks her out like thinner. Ooh, that's a good one. So it's like thinner, you know, it's like a liposuction that sucks her out like thinner. And yeah, she loses so much weight is that like she just like everything gets sucked out. I mean, come on, it's a horror movie. Like it gets ridiculous. So everything comes out. And by the way, this is gonna be a horror comedy. It's not gonna be anything that's like, you know, serious. Like it's just like it's funny, but it's like a B-rated funny, you know. You kill parody Courtney with I don't know, how would you do it though? Because I feel like all of them would involve like some type of plastic surgery, but I don't know how much plastic surgery Courtney really has, you know. And honestly, again, these are all alleged rumors and what have you. Or we could go classic, you know, Texas Chainsaw and just, you know, kill them all with a chainsaw. But either way, Parody Rob is the killer at the end of the movie. And the last one he kills, actually, we will make Courtney the final girl. Because I feel like she's very underutilized and somewhat appreciated because she's not in the limelight. I feel like too much. At least for me, she's not in the limelight too much. It's always like not Courtney, but Chloe, you know, she kind of rised above from being like, you know, talked about to now beautiful and this, that, and the other. We all know Kim. We all know Kylie. Like, those are the main names. And Kris Jenner, too, and Caitlyn. Like, those are all the main names that we all know about, which means, like, because of how big they are, it comes down like a domino effect. It goes from the highest Kardashian down to the lowest Kardashian. You know what I'm saying? So we go from top Kardashian to the low one, and I feel like the lowest one is Courtney because she's not too much like a limelight person, in my opinion. You know, maybe someone feels a bit different about that, but either way, you know, she learns about like, Jeff, what are you doing this? And he's like, well, I'm tired of you and you fucking whores doing everything. And just like kill him off at the end. And yeah, this would be a horror movie where like no one survives. At least the sisters don't survive. And Jeff is now like playing traumatized for the public, and now he becomes the sole look of like the I still haven't thought of a last name for these fake Kardashians, but we'll say the Johnsons, keeping up with the Johnsons, the Johnson family. So he's now the Johnson family name. So yeah, I mean, we just literally created a parody movie of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. But anyway, if you guys want to watch Jersey Shore Massacre, definitely watch it on Tubi. Other than that, I am signing out for today. If you guys want to follow me on my social medias, the social medias are Instagram, Walterdoom, Twitter, Walterdoom1, Walterdoom on everything else that involves streaming platforms and audio. I am on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, Google Podcasts, and wherever else that they put my podcast on. So yeah, definitely check it out. Other than that, this has been another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. I am signing out for the day. This is your boy Walterdoom. This is America. Don't let them catch you slipping now. Also, if you guys are here at the end of the outro, let's give a few respects to a lot of people that have died right now. R.I.P. DMX, R.I.P. Black Rob, R.I.P. Shock G, R.I.P. Marky D. Thank you for justice for George Floyd. Let's take 10 seconds for an R.I.P. to those people. Alright, and that is pretty much it. So this has been another episode of Let's Talk About Horror. This is America. Don't let them catch you slipping now. Stay diabolical, people. Peace.